Welcome back to the Lois Banks Show. I'm your host, Lois Banks. And today we have a special guest in the studio audience. Her name is Lisa Smith, and she is a plant based nutritionist. Lisa, thank you for coming to the Lois Banks Show.
Thank you so much for having me, Lois.
Wonderful. At the top of the hour, I always like to share, blessings and what God is doing in my ministry. And then right after that, we're going to go right into the interview with Miss Lisa Smith. Many of you might not know, but I have a health product that's going to be on the market soon. God blessed me with that idea, and I'm very excited about it. And then after I obey God in that area, God sent me a scientist who's going to be taking my health product and doing clinical trials and then turning it into a medicine without side effects. So I'm really excited about that because it's going to
Nice.
be plant-based. It's going to be based on the natural properties that God has brought into the earth. So I'm very excited about what God is doing. The $16 million grant for the clinical trial has already been approved. And, I'm just walking with God in this area of
Yes.
natural health and eating right and just, trying to be a blessing to the world. So today's topic is going to be based on nutrition, eating healthy, plant-based,
Yes.
clean foods grown without chemicals,
Yes.
and understanding the reasons why you need to take those or make those decisions to make a lifestyle change. Now, Miss Lisa, I want you to
Yes.
open up to the viewing audience and talk a little bit about yourself and your education and your background.
Okay, sure. So again, my name is Lisa A. Smith. I work as a certified plant-based nutritionist, professional speaker, and I'm a owner of two health and wellness companies, the Professionally Fit and the Black Health Academy. I'm also the executive director of the Plant-Based Nutrition Support Group, which is a nonprofit organization centered around using whole foods, plant-based, no oil nutrition to heal and reverse chronic disease. And so full time, I work toward helping individuals manage health, things like obesity, hypertension, high cholesterol, autoimmune disease, and teaching them how to use food as medicine. Educationally, I have a bachelor's in psychology. I have an MBA, a master's in business administration. I'm also certified in plant-based nutrition through eCornell, and I self-study a lot. Right. So, and I'm also the author of The Plant-Based Foodie, which is a whole foods plant-based recipe book. And I'm also the creator of Farm to Table, which is a digital and live course that I teach that helps individuals make the transition to a plant-based diet.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yes.
Now, everybody knows that I'm a licensed nurse, and I've seen throughout the years people reverse a lot of diseases in their body when they ate plant-based.
Yes.
Can you give some examples of some people that you know that changed maybe a serious diagnosis into a healing testimony?
Oh, absolutely. There are countless examples of individuals who have used nutrition to reverse chronic diseases that we're often told we will die from or that we will need to be on lifelong medications from. One in particular is my good friend Paul Chatlin, who is the founder of the Plant Based Nutrition Support Group. Before this year, a couple months ago, he asked me to step up and take over. However, he completely reversed heart disease using whole foods plant-based nutrition. And we know that heart disease is the number one killer in this country. It takes over 600,000 people each year. I also have plenty of clients and individuals who have been through my courses and worked with me with one-on-one coaching to reverse things like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, obesity, autoimmune diseases. We reduce flare-ups. We get off of medications. Tiffany is one of the coaches that works for me and one of my good friends, and she completely manages her RA, rheumatoid arthritis, using a whole foods plant-based diet. I've also seen things like anxiety, depression, lupus, all type of conditions. And some things don't have necessarily a diagnosis. It can be something as simple as chronic fatigue syndrome. It could be something as simple as chronic aches and pains. It can be something as simple as inflammation in the body. All of those things can be mitigated or eliminated just through diet alone, regardless of our genes, regardless of our past habits for the last 30, 40, 50 years. There is so much power in plants. And my hope is to spread that message as far and as wide as possible to get people to understand understand the power they have within their own authority.
Now, can you explain why maybe some people won't don't make that decision to make a lifestyle change? What type of challenges are people dealing with that would maybe prevent them from going or eating plant-based?
That's a loaded question, Lois. You said this was a 30-minute show.
Yes.
But when you say what type of challenges may prevent someone from being successful, where there's so many ways that I could potentially tackle that question. One, the first two are normative and nihilistic. So normative means, an individual thinks, well, this is the way it's always been. This is the way it will always be. This is just what we do. For Thanksgiving, we need to have turkey, dressing, macaroni and cheese, and a load of sugar. At Easter, we need to have a ham on the table. We celebrate birthdays with alcohol and cupcakes and pizza, right? Normative behavior, thinking like, this is the way I was raised, this is the way I brought up, this is the way we do things.
Okay.
And then you have more of a nihilistic attitude for some people, where it's, well, you're going to die of something, meaning what does it matter if I try and change the way I eat or the way I move, or if I try and introduce meditative or mindfulness practices, I could go out and get hit by a bus. So what does it even matter, right? So there's individuals who think that way. There's also a belief system in our culture that if it's in our lineage, if it runs in our family, it's our genes that determines our outcome as opposed to our individual behaviors.
Okay.
And so sometimes we have individuals who have been told by physicians that everyone in your family had high blood pressure, everybody in your family had high cholesterol or obesity, or heart disease, and so that essentially is going to be your fate. I was just at a event recently where someone was telling a story about a doctor. No, actually, one of my students recently told a story in my class about a doctor telling her the only way you're going to get off of this blood pressure medication is by changing your family, which we know essentially is not possible,
It's
right?
ridiculous, right?
It's ridiculous. So he was basically saying you're on blood pressure medication for the rest of your life because it's in your genes, right? Which is 100% untrue.
Exactly.
So there's also, we know the food is scientifically formulated to be addictive. So there's the physiological adaptation to these toxins and these poisons, right? And so some of us can't release that addiction, especially if we're holding on to it as a therapeutic practice.
Okay.
So if we have unresolved traumas, if we have unresolved grief, forgiveness, whatever emotion we're trying to bury using our plate, if we don't resolve that deep-seated issue, there's nothing I can teach you about plants.
Okay.
Right? So
Yes.
how are we using the food? Are we using the food as a therapeutic tool, or are we using it for sustenance and to nourish our bodies and brains? So there's a multitude of reasons as to why. And then also we can even get into the economical argument about accessibility and food deserts, and how people of color are more than likely to be exposed to more toxins just because our neighborhoods are usually in more industrialized environments where they're along chemtrails in the south where they're spraying chems, and we live right in the backyard.
Right.
We talk about the advertisement of unhealthy foods in our community is 40% times higher than any other.
Yes.
And so then there's a whole economic argument about why this change can be difficult for people. So it's multifaceted.
Okay, thank you. That was beautiful. I love how you responded, because you hit quite a few topics.
Thank
so
you.
I like that. So I know that you've been eating plant-based foods for like 5 years.
Yes.
Can you talk about the changes that you've experienced and the positive changes that you've experienced?
Oh my God. Like being plant-based is so amazing. I absolutely love it because I feel the best I've ever felt. And the older I get. So for me, I used to be 65 pounds heavier than what I am now. But when I went plant-based, I had already lost my weight.
Okay.
So my story is not a weight loss story. When I went plant-based vegan, I only lost 5 extra pounds. However, the biggest by far benefit that I gained from adopting a whole foods plant-based diet was my cognitive functioning.
Okay.
I have phenomenal recall. I have the ability to rapidly problem solve. I can rapidly analyze information. I can clear thinking, no brain fog, right?
Okay.
I run 2.5 companies, so it's essential that I am always operating at a high level cognitively. And most importantly, where I saw this show up the most is on the stage. I'm a professional speaker, so I'm constantly being booked to speak somewhere.
Okay.
And 90% of the time, it's going to be about nutrition and chronic disease. And so I have to be able to quickly recall information, stats, stories, statistics,
Yes.
data to
Yes.
help save somebody in the audience, right?
Yes.
And so
Yes.
if I consume processed food, if I consume foods that can create excess mucus in my body or a bunch of refined sugar, I can't access those depths of my brain. Up until this year in my company, I didn't have a physical product until I released a plant-based foodie. So what I
Okay.
sell is in here. So
Okay.
I'll be doing a disservice to myself and my audience if I'm not constantly operating at a high level.
Okay.
So for me, the biggest result by far was cognitive functioning.
Well, I've noticed the same thing as well. If I'm faced with maybe a challenge, my brain comes up with the answer very quick.
Yes.
My sleep is very sound. I have a lot of energy and I'm ripping
Yes.
and running
Yes.
all across the
Yes.
nation.
Yes.
And working, just finished up a movie, working on a health product,
Yes.
work as a nurse administrator for a huge insurance company Monday through Friday. And I'm just, I just notice a lot of energy.
Absolutely. And you know what? It almost becomes your downfall. I was just talking to my therapist today about I have to be still.
Okay.
Right? Like I'm like, okay, I have all the energy. I have the ability to cognitively process all these
Yes.
tasks and projects that I have going on.
Yes.
But sometimes you have to intentionally stop too. And I call it a champagne problem.
Well, you know what? Once a week, usually on Saturdays, and I've been doing this for like 20 years, I don't eat anything.
Oh, fast. Yeah.
I drink a lot of distilled water and
Yes.
drink herbal herbs, natural
Yes.
herbs.
Yes.
And I sit still.
Yes.
I've been doing that for 20 years.
Oh, I honor you. Teach me, wise one.
Because it's a part of health.
Yes, it truly is.
Being still.
Absolutely. But you know what? I'm going to a meditation event tonight, dance meditation, and there's a nap built into the entire event.
Wow.
So it's like dance meditation followed by lullaby and a nap.
Oh, wow.
So it's
Okay.
sad that I have to pay for a nap, but I'm
Right.
doing it. It's happening. It's happening.
Right.
But yeah, so I try and do mindful practices like that that I actually invest in to get that mindfulness and that stillness.
That's good. That's
Yeah.
good. Now, Thanksgiving is around the corner.
Yes, it is.
So, can you speak to our audience and talk about making healthier choices around the holidays?
Yes.
Thanksgiving is coming up, Christmas is coming up, because, like you said, there are different reasons why people make decisions not to eat healthier, but we want to encourage them. Not to get sick. We
Yeah.
want to encourage them not to go to the hospital.
Absolutely. 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 So, my vegan Thanksgiving often looks like the sides that we typically enjoy in the in a black family, where you have your greens, your sweet potatoes, your macaroni and cheese, your dressing, maybe another vegetable, or you might have mashed potatoes, whatever. But because I'm so steadfast in my core values, my family knows that I don't consume any animal products, no
Right.
meat, no dairy, right?
Right.
And so my sides, because I'm not the big cook, I'm not the one, right? And so it's
Okay.
going to be my mom or my uncle, my family. And so my sides are going to be prepared without the animal products. So my
Okay.
mom actually makes me a separate side of dressing
Okay.
that isn't made with like the turkey
Drippings,
drippings or
yes.
chicken broth. She uses vegetable broth, none of that.
Okay.
My macaroni and cheese I'm probably going to make, and my cheese is going to be made from cashews, a non-dairy milk,
Okay.
non-dairy butter. My greens are going to be made just with seasonings and garlic and onions, no meat in them. So my cornbread is going to be made with a flax egg instead of a chicken egg,
Right,
and
right.
the vegan butter. And so by no means do I consider this a healthy meal, even though it's vegan. For me, it's vegan junk food. I'm doing me and a couple of friends, my closest friends are also plant-based vegan, and so we're going to do a Friendsgiving this year, and we're
Okay.
all going to bring, it's going to be a vegan Thanksgiving. We're all going to bring different dishes. So one of my friends is going to bring like a tofurkey, and so it's really easy to eat traditional Thanksgiving food in a vegan way.
Okay.
Because you can easily make everything we enjoy without the animal products. One of the things I often suggest too, though, if you're not a big cook but you want to expose your family to some of these vegan products, is have some of it catered. Like, for example, last year I reached out to my good friend Chef B from Sisters on a Roll, and
Mm-hmm.
she makes these phenomenal greens with smoked mushrooms in them. And I
Okay.
picked that up to take with to my family.
Okay.
Just this past Tuesday, I graduated 15 students from my farm to table course, and I
Mm-hmm.
had it catered from Leah from
Mm-hmm.
Lit Vegan Kitchen here in
Mm-hmm.
Detroit,
Mm-hmm.
and she made a mushroom stuffing, she made
Mm-hmm.
a macaroni and cheese, and she made a
Mm-hmm.
lentil loaf,
Okay.
right? And so, and then I know Q of the kitchen at Q,
Mm-hmm.
she makes a lot of macaroni and cheeses
Mm-hmm.
and things that we can be considered traditional. So
Mm-hmm.
whether it be catering
Mm-hmm.
or finding a recipe, it's
Okay.
actually quite easy
Right,
if
right.
you're dedicated to not
Right.
consuming those animal
Right, right.
products.
That sounds good. Everything sounds good, but I do want to caution people who've been diagnosed with cancer not to eat the mushrooms because they're fungus, and cancer is actually a fungus. I just had a young woman who was diagnosed with terminal colon cancer come to me, showed her what to eat, told her what foods not to eat, and within 4 weeks, the tumor is completely dissolved. One of the things I told her was not to eat the mushrooms because a
Okay.
lot of people don't know
Yeah.
that fungus that cancer is a fungus, and mushrooms come from like a fungus family.
Yeah, mushrooms
So
are a fungus. I
yeah,
never heard that cancer
yes,
was a fungus.
yes, ma'am, it
Right.
is. Yes, ma'am, it is.
Yeah,
So I
okay.
just wanted to put that out there to the audience as well. But I love what you just said.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for
Yeah,
that.
of course. Yeah.
Yes. So, okay. So we now, can you give us like an example of what you eat every day,
Oh,
just so
yeah.
that we can like see how you eat?
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Well, this morning, my first meal of the day, because there's no such thing as a breakfast food, so I don't believe in things like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Those don't exist.
Okay.
But today, my first meal of the day was a salad. The base of the salad was a rainbow chard, Swiss chard, and spinach. And in the salad, it was really loaded up. So I had golden beets, I had pomegranate seeds, I
Okay.
had avocado, I had sliver almonds, I had Kalamata olives, fresh olives, nothing out of a can.
Okay.
I also had Kumata tomatoes, brown tomatoes, organic.
Okay.
And then I also had, did I have walnuts in there? No walnuts today.
Okay.
I said the pomegranate seeds and, pepitas, so sunflower seeds as
Okay.
well.
Okay.
And that was my salad for today. Very, very colorful. And that was my first meal of the day.
Okay. What time?
Well, it's different every day because I do intermittent fasting.
Okay.
That one today was after my workout, so it was maybe about 9 a.m.
Okay, okay.
roughly. But sometimes
Okay.
my first meal might not be to 1 p.m. So
Okay.
I don't subscribe to certain times that you should eat or stop
Right.
eating. I
Okay.
don't believe in that either.
Okay.
And then my second meal today was some chili. I made a pot of chili yesterday.
Okay.
A black bean chili out of my recipe book, and so I had a bowl of black bean chili with some fresh cilantro on top, and that was
Okay.
my second meal of the day.
Okay.
I had some skinny pop today. I had a pear and kiwi, and then right before I came here, I was a little hungry, so I had a banana that I sliced up with almond butter drizzled on it.
Okay.
And fresh pecans
Okay.
on top. So it was a
Okay.
snack as well. And so later I'll probably have another bowl of chili or something. So but because there's no such thing as a breakfast food, I eat whatever I want for my first meal of the day.
Exactly.
Yeah, because when you have to give up animal products, people think like, what are you going to eat for breakfast?
Right.
Because the standard American breakfast is loaded with processed meat and
Right.
dairy
Exactly.
and refined sugar. So, but there's no such thing as a breakfast food. So.
Okay, and then also too, can you talk a little bit about the importance of eating foods that have not been sprayed with chemicals, and then the health challenges that are associated with eating sugar?
Oh, sugar. Again, how much time did you have, Lois? Okay, I will try and minimize this as much as possible.
Right.
But yeah, you want to, so the thing, as far as organic, when you say not eating things that have been sprayed with chemicals, when you get something that's organic, it's not that it's 100% chemical free. It's just below a certain standard that has been set, by the USDA and the FDA. But the things that I suggest buying organic are things that you consume the skin on. So that's going to be your tomatoes, your potatoes, your berries, things that have really thin skin that we consume. The things that I don't necessarily deem to have to be organic will be things with really thick skin that we don't consume, like a banana, a watermelon, an avocado. Those things I don't necessarily buy organic,
Okay.
but definitely the thin skin things that we consume are like my plants, all organic, whether it's Swiss chard, spinach, kale, sprouts, dandelion greens. I get all greens organic.
Okay.
And because there's going to be, we like to say that food is, or eating is, a necessary evil,
Mm-hmm.
and that there's always going to be a risk level
Mm-hmm.
with anything, that
Mm-hmm.
even things that you've grown yourself,
Right. Right. Right.
there can be a risk level associated with it, for
Mm-hmm.
sure.
Mm-hmm.
But so that's my kind of rule for organic.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the cautions about sugar.
Mm-hmm.
I could talk 2 days about sugar. Refined sugar is one of the most high levels of toxins that you can put in your body, because sugar is a narcotic, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when I say refined sugar, I'm referring to processed sugar, like white sugar, like cane sugar, raw sugar, brown sugar,
Mm-hmm.
turbinado sugar,
Mm-hmm.
coconut sugar, date
Mm-hmm.
sugar. It's all a
Mm-hmm.
processed
Right.
drug.
Right.
And one of the most detrimental things that sugar does to us is actually what it does to our brain versus
Mm-hmm.
our body. Most of us try and avoid sugar because of our weight,
Mm-hmm.
right? We think, oh, I
Mm-hmm.
don't need this donut because of my waistline.
Mm-hmm.
I shouldn't be eating this candy because I don't want
Mm-hmm.
to gain weight. But really, what you should be thinking when you're consuming sugar is, I don't want memory loss, Alzheimer's
Mm-hmm.
and dementia,
Right.
extremely exacerbated by sugar. You
Right.
should really be thinking about the inflammation in your body. You should
Mm-hmm.
really be thinking about the arteries, your arteries being clogged, heart
Mm-hmm.
disease. Sugar
Mm-hmm.
clogs your arteries. You should also
Okay.
be thinking about blood pressure when you
Mm-hmm.
consume sugar. You should also be thinking about inflammation in your body. You should really be thinking about your immune system, because sugar shuts down your immune system
Yes,
three
it
to four
does.
hours after
Yes, it
consuming it,
does.
right? And so there's so many things to think about outside of weight when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
refined sugar,
Mm-hmm.
which is why you can't or shouldn't buy fruit snacks and cakes and cereals and say that's for the kids,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Exactly.
That's for my husband who doesn't need to lose weight.
Mm-hmm.
It's really a detriment to anybody. I was
Mm-hmm.
talking to my therapist today about autism,
Mm-hmm.
and I was talking about, and she was saying, somebody in her family buys her autistic daughter,
Mm-hmm.
fruit snacks. And I'm like,
Mm.
no, number
Right.
one, it has colorants in it.
Yes.
Blue number 7, yellow number 40. That's
Mm-hmm.
hyperactivity in the brain. That's
Yes.
ADD. That's ADHD. And
Yes.
so we can't afford
Exactly.
these levels of toxicity.
Exactly.
So sugar truly is a narcotic, and
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, because it is a narcotic, there's no room for
Mm-hmm.
moderation. So
Mm-hmm.
it's something that we should be eliminating altogether. All
Exactly.
refined sugar, with
Exactly.
absolutely, no room
Exactly.
for any of it.
Well, I want to piggyback and go back to the clean organic foods.
Yeah.
I'm a woman of God, so I minister the word of God
Yes.
internationally and nationally. And what I've been telling people around the world is to completely line up to the Garden of Eden. And if God didn't spray any chemicals on the food, we should not be eating any chemicals on the food, because our body is not created to house poisons.
Yes, that's right.
And so, with that being said, through the last maybe 25 years,
Mm-hmm.
I've seen so many people reverse sickness and disease when they begin to eat foods the way God created it.
Yeah.
Now, for me, for myself, once I started to eat completely organic and line up to the Word of God, if I eat anything that says it's organic, but it really isn't,
Mm-hmm.
and it's some chemicals are on it,
Mm-hmm.
my body will break out in hives.
Mm-hmm.
My body tells me that
Mm-hmm.
somebody's lying somewhere.
Yes.
And I've had to confront
Yes.
business owners in the past and say, hey, this is not organic.
That's right.
You're labeling it organic, but my body is telling me something's in there.
Mm.
So once I want to tell the viewers, once you clean your body out and you eat foods that are really
Yep.
clean,
Yep.
you get clean inside. And when you ingest the poison, your body will respond and react to it.
Absolutely. And I think what I was going to say is what you just said is that you have to have that heightened level of self-awareness with your body in the first
Yes.
place.
Yes.
Because a lot of times I teach my students about one of the ways you can begin to overcome your sugar addiction is by being able to identify exactly how it shows up for you.
Oh, that's good.
But some of us, the addiction is so fierce
Mm-hmm.
that, and we've built up such a tolerance that we can't
Mm-hmm.
even identify what happens when we consume this
Isn't that
toxin,
something?
right? But I know
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get inflammation in my back right
Mm-hmm.
here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to experience some memory loss. I know
Mm-hmm.
exactly. But if you don't know how it shows up for you,
Right, right.
so I love what you said. It's
Mm-hmm.
so important to be able to
Yes.
say my body is clean enough
Mm-hmm.
to reject a toxin. Some of our bodies
Exactly.
aren't clean enough to reject a
You're
toxin.
right. You're right.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to encourage people, go all the way in, step into it all the way.
Yes.
and give your body an opportunity to function the way that God actually created it.
100%.
Wow. So, my goodness, you've talked about so much, and we got so much
I know.
in almost 30 minutes. Almost 30 minutes. Have you noticed anything with your hair? Does your hair grow faster?
Oh
What do you
yeah.
notice?
Oh yeah. Well, physically, yeah. So I'm all natural my hair, and I don't put anything on my hair or my skin that I can't consume by mouth.
Okay.
And so yeah, my hair grows beautifully. My nails grow beautifully, and it's been amazing.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, you know what, Miss Lisa Smith, girl, we're going to have you come back and talk about
Please,
some more
please,
information. That was
please.
great what
Th-
you gave the
Thank you. Can I tell them
viewers.
where to find me
You
too?
can, yes, ma'am.
Absolutely. So, for my coaching, for speaking, for my programs, and my free lectures, you can go to www.lisaangelsmith.com.
All right,
Lisa
say it one more
Angels,
time.
www.lisaangelsmith.com. And I'm Lisa Angel Smith on Facebook and Instagram.
Wonderful. Thank you
Yes.
so much, Miss Lisa Smith, for coming
Thank
to the
you.
Lois Bank Show.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And viewing audience, I just want to encourage everyone to live long, live strong, make healthier choices, get in contact with Miss Lisa Smith. You don't have to walk around this earth suffering with ailments and sickness and disease. All of that's a lie. Um, Make those choices and watch your body restore itself.
Absolutely.
This is the Lois Bank Show coming to you. Have a blessed Thanksgiving and a blessed Christmas. Come back again.